Corporate office jobs, the kind of soul-crushing 9-to-5 work that would have killed everything I was passionate about. These are real careers, she explained, sliding the papers across the table. With benefits, retirement plans, growth potential. You could start at the bottom and work your way up like Brody did. I stared at the papers, genuinely speechless. You want me to give up my startup to become, what, a claims adjuster? She looked at me like I was a child refusing to eat vegetables. I want you to be realistic about your future, about Brooke's future. She deserves security, not fairy tales. The conversation went downhill from there. She kept using phrases like, when you're ready to grow up, and Brooke needs a provider, not a dreamer. She never raised her voice, never lost her composure, but every word was designed to make me feel small and inadequate. The worst part? When I told Brooke about it later, she didn't seem surprised or upset that her mother had ambushed me. She just said, she means well. Maybe you should at least look at those jobs, just as a backup plan. That's when I knew the poison was already spreading. The beginning of the end started with what Brooke called just a casual family dinner. She asked me to wear a blazer. When I showed up to their estate, and yeah, it's big enough to call an estate, I realized this wasn't going to be the intimate family gathering Brooke had described. The driveway looked like a luxury car dealership. BMWs, Mercedes, a couple of Audis, my 2008 Honda Civic with the dent in the bumper and the check engine light that had been on since the previous administration looked like it had wandered into the wrong neighborhood. The real kicker? This wasn't just family. Brooke's dad had invited his business associates and their sons, guys who looked like they'd stepped out of a corporate success story. Ivy League educations, summer internships at major banks, fathers who play golf with senators. The conversation flowed like they were all reading from the same script. Investment strategies, European vacations, property portfolios. Meanwhile, I'm over here with my most exciting recent purchase being name brand cereal instead of the store brand. Real thrilling stuff. Then came the targeted questions, delivered with surgical precision. So you're still working on that little tech project? Brooke's father asked. It's a startup, I corrected, trying not to sound defensive. We're in early development, but we're making solid progress. I didn't mention that our last investor meeting had been a disaster, or that my co-founder Jake and I had been pulling 80-hour weeks trying to fix a bug in our prototype that was making it crash every time someone tried to upload a file larger than 50 megabytes. Technical difficulties aside, we were broke and running on fumes. One of his friends, this guy with perfect teeth and a February tan that screamed, I winter in Florida, chuckled like I just told him the earth was flat. Tech is so volatile these days. You sure it's a wise investment of time? Maybe a backup plan wouldn't hurt. The condescension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. And here's the part that really stung. Brooke didn't say a word in my defense. Usually she'd jump in with something about how passionate I was or how she believed in what we were building. This time, nothing. Then they brought out Brody. Brooke's mother introduced him like he was a celebrity. Brody just made junior partner at a top corporate law firm. Princeton undergraduate, Yale Law. Such a brilliant mind. Brody was everything I wasn't. Tall, perfectly groomed, the kind of guy who probably had his suits tailored and never had to check his bank balance before buying coffee. He talked about his recent bonus like it was casual conversation. The condo he just bought in the right part of town. His 5-year plan to make full partner. And Brooke? She was eating it up, asking questions about his work, laughing at his mediocre jokes, showing more interest in his career than she'd ever shown in mine. Every question she asked him felt like a small betrayal. I barely said 10 words the entire night. Every time I tried to contribute to the conversation, someone would politely listen for about 5 seconds before steering things back to Brody's accomplishments or someone else's success story. I was watching Brooke transform into someone I didn't recognize. The girl who used to make fun of pretentious people was suddenly one of them. When we got back to my apartment that night, something had shifted. She complained about the broken elevator that had been out of order for months. She wrinkled her nose when Python jumped on the bed, something that had never bothered her before. She mentioned how small the bathroom was, like she was seeing the place for the first time. That's when I